Hello, I'm Sean O'Kernean. I'm a former Birkbeck student of the Masters in European Politics program. I graduated in 2002, and since 2004 I've been working in Brussels in one of the EU organizations, institutions, the European Committee of the Regions. I'd like to talk to you today about the European Week of Regions and Cities, which is coming up in a few days' time, from the 12th to the 14th of October. And I'd like to talk to you about the role of subnational government in the EU policy process. It comes as a surprise to a lot of people, including people who are studying European politics, that actually subnational government has a formal role to play in the legislative process. But first of all, I'd like to locate you here in Brussels. I'm standing at the heart of the EU district, what some people call the EU village. And right behind me, you can see, today's a rainy day, as you can see, which is not unusual for Brussels. Right behind me, that's the Council of the European Union. I'm going to switch camera if I can. No, I can't. Right, I have to turn around. And behind us there, you can see the House of European History, which is a museum owned by the European Parliament, which is further back. Behind, you can see an arch in the distance. That's the European Parliament. And over here, I'm just going to walk over here, and we're going to get close to the Committee of the Regions. And while we get to it, so that you can see where it is in relation to the other institutions, I should say that the European Commission is on the other side of the Council there. You may have heard of the Schuman roundabout. That's behind the Council. So we're coming up to the Committee of the Regions. Now, as I said, it comes as a surprise to a lot of people that subnational government has a formal role to play in the EU policy process. And in fact, it's something that dates back to the Maastricht Treaty. But it makes a lot of sense when you know a couple of statistics, which I'm going to share with you now. When you know, for example, that 1/2 of public investment in the whole of the EU is carried out by subnational government, that 1/3 of public expenditure takes place at subnational level, and 1/4 of tax collection is carried out by subnational government, then you realize that the EU's policy objectives cannot be achieved without working together with subnational government. Now, we've just reached the Committee of the Regions. Let's see if you can stand in front of it. That's it there. You can see the logo behind me. And this is the building that represents the whole of subnational government in the EU. There are approximately 90,000 local and regional authorities in the EU 27 member states, and approximately 1 million local and regional elected politicians throughout the 27 member states. And they are all represented here by this institution. Officially, technically, it's not an institution, it's a consultative body, and it's called the European Committee of the Regions. Now, there's huge diversity throughout the EU in terms of subnational government, and it's worth just taking a few seconds to talk about that. All member states have one common denominator at subnational level. That's the municipality. That's your local government, your mayor, leader of the council, local council, etc. And there is a variety in terms of the powers that they have, the competencies, the budgets that they manage. But it's common to all member states. Above the level of municipality, you might have in some member states counties, you might have provinces, and in some member states you have regional government. And some regions are incredibly powerful, such as in Germany, in Belgium, and in Spain. They manage huge budgets, sometimes bigger than some member states, and they have real legislative powers. In other member states, you have regions, regional structures that don't have legislative powers, but they are responsible for managing funds, perhaps EU funds, managing investment in infrastructure, etc. So it's a huge diversity that exists in the EU at subnational level. And all of that is represented here by the European Committee of the Regions. And representing that diversity is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to keep the European level in touch with the ground, in touch with the diversity that exists in the European Union. So that brings us now to the European Week of Regions and Cities, which is an annual event which in normal circumstances attracts 6,000 to 7,000 people from all over the EU and even beyond to come to Brussels to attend workshops, seminars, conferences, debates, networking, etc. And of course to try to influence future policy. This year, because of the pandemic, we will not be having a lot of people coming to Brussels. Most of it will take place online. But a number of really interesting things are going to be happening. The plenary of the Committee of the Regions will take place. The work of subnational government throughout the policy process, or in the policy process, takes place throughout the whole of the year. It's never ending. And even though the treaty lists a number of policy areas where subnational government must be consulted, and if it isn't, the legislative process comes to a halt. The reality is that the three main institutions, Parliament, Council, and Commission, frequently go beyond the treaty requirements and consult the Committee of the Regions and subnational government on many other policy areas. In fact, I think now there isn't a single policy area, including defence, where the Committee of the Regions has not been consulted at least once. So that work is going on throughout the year, all the time. But the highlight, the moment when this is brought to the attention of a greater number of people, is the European Week of Regions and Cities. That's coming up in a few days' time, and we will have Chancellor Angela Merkel attending the plenary session, or at least connecting online and presenting the priorities and discussing about the priorities of the German presidency. As you know, Germany holds now the rotating presidency of the EU, and she will be debating about them with the members of the Committee of the Regions. President von der Leyen will do the same at a different moment, different day, and she will be formally participating in the inaugural session of the European Week, obviously discussing her plans for the forthcoming year from the perspective of the European Commission. And we have many other guest speakers at the highest level. Vice President of the European Commission Timmermans, who's in charge of the Green Deal. Vice President Šefčovič, who's in charge and will be presenting the EU's first foresight report, which is looking ahead at what challenges there might be for the Union beyond this mandate. And other commissioners, Commissioner for Cohesion Policy, the Commissioner for Employment, Commissioner for Recovery and Resilience, and also the President of the European Investment Bank, Werner Hoyer. So all of them will be having separate debates and discussions with the members of the Committee of the Regions during plenary. I should say that the European Week is a joint event with the European Commission, the DG Regio, the Director General for Regional Policy, and for them, of course, it brings them in touch with many of the local regional authorities that they are in touch with throughout the year. And finally, the Committee of the Regions will be launching during this European Week the first European Barometer of Regions and Cities, a barometer that is going to be providing a snapshot of what the situation is at subnational level throughout the EU, what the needs are, what the interests are, what the challenges and opportunities are for subnational government. That first barometer is going to be really interesting, and it's going to be an annual initiative. So I hope you tune in. All the main events will be live streamed on the website. The website of the Committee of the Regions is cor.europa.eu. So I hope you tune in. Do download the barometer when it comes out. And for now, that's all. Goodbye.